computer. Okay, good morning, UMM at CHUMC. For November 2021, we are recording on Zoom this morning. We have folks on Zoom, Charles and Jim, and folks here in the room. And where's our attendance list? Pass the attendance list down here real quick. And Swen, Bob Nixon, Jim Bruton, Travis, Larry Barnes. Okay. So we have 6 present and two more on Zoom. Okay. So my thought for the day, always tough times never last, tough people do, and that it seems to be proving itself out. So Swen, do you have a little bit of devotional for us this morning?
I do. I decided to look at Psalms and see what David had to say this morning. And I was always curious about books that we never talk about very often. And that's like Psalms 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, those early Psalms, and what it was that David was thinking about at that time and talking about. As you know, he wrote all of this basically while he was in the wilderness, near Jerusalem. And I picked Psalms 3 because in there he talks about trust in God under adversity. A psalm of David when he fled from his son Absalom. O Lord, how many are my foes? Many are rising against me. Many are saying to me, there is no help for you in God. But you, O Lord, are a shield around me, my glory, and the one who lifts up my head. I cry aloud to the Lord, and he answers me from his holy hill. I lie down and sleep. I wake again, for the Lord sustains me. I'm not afraid of 10,000 of people who have set themselves against me all around. Rise up, O Lord, deliver me, O my God, for you strike all my enemies on the cheek. You break the teeth of the wicked. Deliverance beyond to the Lord. May be your blessing be on your people. Psalms 3. And then I just picked up a little bulletin just kind of to remind us that there's been a project that we have actually participated in from time to time. And it's a project that really got started by a member of this church. It's called Roy Moss Youth Alternatives. And I'm going to read you what the philosophy of RMYA is. It talks healing trauma through respect and acceptance, one child at a time, unwavering dedication to ending the cycle of abuse, inspiring success through kindness and healthy interactions, providing safety, comfort, and consistency since 1976. And I thought we would just kind of remember that as probably one of those areas that we have participated in, and it's a very active program today. They have different locations throughout the city. One of them is fairly close to this area. It's located down on Vance Jackson. And I think that's Vance Jackson and Bassey at that intersection. It's where their clothing store, I call it. That's where they sell various used clothing, and I'm amazed how good quality they have there, because my neighbor went down there and picked up 3 nice shirts, dress shirts, and they were, lightly used, I would consider it, but it probably somebody that worked and had to wear a dress shirt every day to work. But they do have good quality clothing there. They sell it very reasonably. And it's one of the ways they raise money internally for their programs that they support. I know this group, it's been a few years, but we did make a trip. We've made at least a couple of trips out to the Bernie location where they have a housing for both girls and boys. It's a big facility. The Spurs built them a nice gym and equipment facility there. And it's a program that is well received here in the city.
So when was that bulletin you got here?
It's a bulletin that the church has right here.
Oh, it's on the table back
It's on
here?
the table back here. in the
It's
hospital.
interesting because I know that Russ had tried to, or had not tried, but had been
Trying to make it
coordinated with them for quite some time. They kind of fell off the map, it seems.
happen. They changed, not directors, but his contact has moved over to Boys Town. And he's not been able to reestablish the contact. I guess the only way to do it is make a trip out there.
Okay.
That's a store, which is at Bastion West.
It's Bastion West.
Bastion West. They have a lot of items in addition to clothing. They have a very extensive book section.
Okay.
That's good. Yeah, a lot of books. So it's very well kept. Yes, so I would highly recommend it. They take donations every Friday.
That's great. Okay.
Yes.
That's
Okay.
great. Now, the other thing is too, that's a good place to remember if you got things you'd like to. That would be a wonderful idea. I was thinking that we've got, I'm trying to think of his name, that's in the Nova class that's been very active in Roy Moss. As a member of our church.
Oh,
Alan Gidry?
Alan.
yes, Alan was on the board for a while, wasn't he? He used to be here with us a lot and
Yes.
talk about it.
He's still active with them right now.
Okay.
So just a reminder that we've got a lot of contacts there.
Hello, Russ.
Morning,
Morning.
we're talking about Roy Moss, one of your.
Okay, I was listening.
One of your favorite
I
charities.
think you're right on.
Yeah,
So along that same topic, we have West Avenue Compassion. Anybody have anything to relate to that?
They're soliciting donations, which I think will end up going to inner city development. I'm not sure. So
Well, that ties
I've got
those
some-
two together then.
Yeah, I've got toys in the car to deliver to them when I get back from Thanksgiving. They're really pushing hard to expand this thing to much more than it used to be. They've got a haircutting guy who comes out and does haircuts twice a month. They've got English as a second language training on Mondays and Wednesdays, and they're just throwing more and more things out. Of course, next Tuesday, they'll be delivering some 400 turkeys to the people that will be lined up to get the regular Tuesday delivery.
that's West
And-
Avenue, right? West Avenue.
Right, and $769 of that, Pastor Dan says came from this church when he asked for. So,
That's a great
so
response.
about 40% of what they got in cash to pay for the turkeys that come from food bank came from here.
That's wonderful.
That just delights me.
That's great.
And an interesting thing, I don't know whether it worked out, but I discovered that Center for Refugee Services has a need for an office. And they were looking at the Nazarene Church on West, but they don't have handicapped access. So I called Pastor Dan and talked with Gus about seeing if they could maybe use our facilities. And I was thinking personally of the CDC, but Gus said, you know, I think we have a room right here in our admin building that might be more simplistic. So I have no idea where that went. Could be that they've already found a facility and everything's fine. So what they're looking for is just administrative
I see.
for as long as this thing goes. It might last a couple of years. So the idea of having an admin portion of that makes sense.
Okay.
That's really all I have.
Did Swin, have you given a financial report yet?
Not yet, no.
Okay,
So that's up next. Swen, go ahead, please.
Okay, I'll do that. On our operating account, we have dispersed out in the last 30 days, $200 to the Radels. And we renewed our charter for 2 years at a 7% discount. That's $160.
Excuse me, we paid again to renew the charter?
We just paid 2 years.
We've done that a year ago.
Well, you probably we did that 2 years ago.
Time flies when you're having fun.
Well,
You know, Russ, my wife hit me a few weeks ago, and I'm just getting over it. So I understand how things happen like that.
I'm gonna have to look back because I thought we still had a year to go on that,
Anyway,
on that renewal.
either way, we're gonna have either 2 years or 3 years paid in advance.
Okay, because we need to check on this, because I think, so did you get a request requesting renewal?
I did get a letter. And I got the reason we went ahead with the 2-year charter renewal is because of the 7% discount if you pay for 2 years forward. And that's $160.
Yeah, okay,
So
well,
that reduces our balance on hand to $1,099. And of that, we have gifted for the men's breakfast about $300. So that leaves us net of about just under $800 in the account. Scholarship account continues at $3,380. And that was the last distribution was 2 $500 scholarships.
what's the balance again on that?
3,380.
300, 338.
380.
Okay,
And that includes the last distribution of 2 scholarships to Furman's 2 sons. That's the status of the account at this point.
okay. I'll have to go back and recheck those dates. I think they may have double billed us.
Well, we always confirm it with them that at least.
I'm sure they'll.
Yeah,
Apply it forward.
Because I did not get, I got this
What I did,
sent to me,
what I
but I did
did-
not get a copy of that other.
what I did is I wrote your name on it and your address and your phone number because it was still coming to Matt Martinez. So when she sent this last payment in, she also set your name and address and phone number so that you'll be getting them in the future.
Because I had gotten stuff in the past, but for some reason,
they
it's
never-
it's like it's like they missed a year somewhere.
Well, it's either
Okay.
that or they didn't carry forward the information you sent them on yourself about being the new president. They didn't carry it forward to their.
All right, we got to figure this out because I think they double billed us. All right.
I don't think it does. So,
well, one of the things, reason I asked that, one of the things that maybe we could get some involvement in. Both Youth Alternatives and Radels have Christmas for their kids. And it's been a number of years ago, but at the Bernie facility, used to be able to say, okay, you got 8 kids in there and you have to buy 8 presents then. And typically in those years, the presents were about $30 a piece. I don't know what that would look like today. Churches and a toy drive for Radels, and maybe we could assist that in some way by spending a little of that money. And I don't know, it's laying there dormant and not doing a whole lot of good. And maybe we could take a couple $100 of that and buy some toys for either Radels or Youth Alternatives to hand out at Christmas time.
Well, I believe the church has been asked to do that. As of last Sunday, they were asked to start bringing in Radel toys by December the 4th. Now, you and I have talked about how we could activate or reactivate the men's group.
Yeah,
I think the only way to do it is have some kind of project that you sponsor and fund that involves activities and manpower. So,
well, both of those would involve that, where, you know, we could buy whatever we were going to buy and transport it out and present it to, you know, the dorm parent at the Youth Alternatives in Bernie, or do it at Radels and, you know, take it out there aside from the church or with the church.
right, I agree that whatever.
So those are a couple of little projects we could do.
Whatever we do needs to have personal involvement along with whatever you're going to gift, not just a handout. Needs to be personal involvement at the same time.
Yeah.
One of the things about Radels, and I don't know exactly where I got this information, but their Radels sale at Inner City Development, I think, is going to be on the 4th of December. So whatever it is, we need to have those toys ready before the 4th. And I think they're unwrapped. You just bring something. You need to make sure that it's not, say, a bunch of Legos that can fall all through somebody's rent house or wherever they are. And I think the other rule is no batteries. This is just from memory from previous years.
I'm not sure, Bob. I think the 11th is when the sale is, and 4th was the cutoff for taking it down there from the church.
Very, very good. Okay, that sounds logical.
That's what I heard. Now, we just have to verify. We got a few days to do that.
Anything from food bank?
Nothing new that I
Okay.
know of.
Larry, do you want to bring us up to date on the habitat? We finished the build. Anything else to mention?
This year was the 45th anniversary of the Habitat for Humanity San Antonio. So the dedication last Saturday on the 13th was extensive in terms of the number of homes that were dedicated. Afterwards, the dedication, they had food trucks, and they were doing a Joshua build. If you're not familiar, Joshua's build is where they bring in the lumber and build a set of walls, prefab the walls. So that occurred in the afternoon. So it was a very nice ceremony. The family for whom we built the house, Gabriel Gomez, his wife, Esperanza, and they had 2 kids, boy, Daniel, who was 10, and a daughter who was 3. I think her name was Arabella, something like, I may be wrong in that. The kids were so excited. They picked out the rooms and so forth. The house was largely finished, but not in toto. There were a few odds and ends that still had to be done. And that was the way with most of the houses. They'll be in by Christmas. They would not be in time for Thanksgiving. We raised a total of $10,180 this year,
Cool.
which we, for several years in a row, we've made more than 10,000. It was actually less than last year during the pandemic, but it's still quite substantial. One nice thing about this year was we had more volunteers from our church, different volunteers than we've had in a long time.
More variety.
More variety in terms of old, young, male, female. So it was very nice. Of course, our men's group provided lunch one Saturday, and the women's group, WOW, provided lunch one Saturday. So we had a very good active participation from our congregation this year. So it continues to go well.
That's a good report.
That's great.
Do we have to ramp up our meals to outdo the women, or are they still below us?
Well, they did a good job, Russ. No,
Okay, well, that's
it was
challenges on
very well
for next year then.
They also got the sandwiches from Lenny's. So they took the clue from us, I think, in terms of how well the Lenny's had done. They're very organized, provided a very nice box lunch. So it's gone well. Yeah, and all the food goes.
Mhm.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Do they still have the military contingent like they had last year?
Yes, there was a number of military
guys.
groups, volunteer groups, yes.
Yeah.
And there were a number from the university this year. UTSA, Trinity, the Health Science Center.
Wow.
We actually had a group of physical therapy students from the Health Science Center on our house
That's great.
one Saturday. So yes, it's been very good. The volunteer coordinator for Habitat does a terrific job of tapping resources throughout the city for volunteers.
That's good news.
Yeah.
When you mentioned the university, it reminded me that one of the other major things that WAC has been doing is shots. So they do shots and flu shots and other such things. Yeah.
Okay. Swen,
Yes.
back to the charter thing.
Yeah.
A year ago, we paid for 2 years.
Okay.
Do you have a copy of the letter they sent you?
No, I've never kept them. I'll give them to Mitzi.
Okay, we'll have to get something from her because they're double billing us,
All right, what
apparently.
we can do is we can also call Nashville.
Yeah,
have
well,
them
once you get a copy of the letters
Right.
in front of us, because I've got this here a year ago,
Right.
we paid them for 2 years.
Okay.
And if they sent you a bill again
Right.
for 2 years,
Right.
you know, they're something's discombobulated because they have the same church ID number on both.
Right.
So even if it's different addresses,
Right.
that church ID number should
Okay.
rule.
Yeah.
But they're double billing us for 2 years.
Okay.
And so, yeah, if you could do, well, let's see, you don't have a copy anymore. So when something like that happens, if you could make sure we get a copy of that information to put in the file.
Well, I can check with Mitzi. She should have made a copy of the letter that I gave her with the voucher
I'm sure.
requesting the money, because it also has some changes on it from Matt Martinez to you,
Yeah.
which I asked her to return to Nashville to update their records.
Okay. Well, yeah, we need to get a copy
Now, it could
of
be-
everything she
it
had.
Could be confusion just on that alone. I don't know. On the president.
Because we had previously done that
Okay,
already in the past.
okay. So we'll have to find out whether your
Yeah.
billing department doesn't have that information.
Right. And so will you speak to Missy and have her get a photocopy of everything
Okay.
related to that so we can get it in the file? And then I'll have to get on the phone and find out where the disconnect is and get it established that, because they made a typo on this one where twice they said we were chartered for 2021.
Okay.
And that may have been part of the deal because they didn't say it was 2022. So that may have been part of their disconnect on their end if they re-entered it wrong on their, in their computer or whatever. And that may have been the reason for the extra billing. So if you could could we have a copy of that little report you had read off here so I can put it with this? Very good.
Yeah.
I'll get it. I'll add that to the record here.
Sure.
Okay. All righty.
One thing.
Yes, sir.
Charles?
Charles he's off the microphone.
Yes, sir. How you doing?
I apologize. I should have asked you if there's anything you had to add about habitat.
Oh, well, the thing is that, thank you so much, Sir Larry. I'd have to say the bill was very seamless. Our House leader was wonderful. Just the camaraderie and having everybody build this house for the young family was probably the best build that I've been in since I've been doing Habitat for the past 4 years. So, yeah.
Good.
And it's good to see that, even though during the pandemic, we still get the kudos from Habitat of Humanity SA in the form of a plaque. So that's an awesome thing. And like I said, it's probably one of the best bills that I've been with the church on, representing the church. Too.
One thing maybe we could uplift is the fact, I think, from what we've talked about, is that we've created a new ambassador within our church for Habitat, and that's young Charlie Moore.
Yes.
Yes.
He's been out there on almost every weekend, at least one day and sometimes 2 days.
Wow.
And
Yes.
talking with his dad, he said, little Charlie is really tied into that. He really enjoys it.
Yeah.
So we need to get
Yes,
him,
sir.
we need to get him to be a youth speaker for our young group, our young people.
Yes, sir. That is something else. He's really surprised a lot of people when he was on there for the time that we was there, of his knowledge and him being a first timer.
Yeah.
It was very impressive.
Wonderful.
We saw the email that said that our faith coordinator is not resigning and leaving, and so we're going to need somebody else for that. Did you get that email?
No, I'm not certain what you're referring. Oh.
Yeah,
for
we have a,
Habitat.
yeah.
The lady at Habitat, her name was Bethany Thomas. She was a community relations associate, something like that. So she interacted with the churches and nonprofit organizations
Yeah.
and coordinated, but she is leaving because of family reasons.
Yeah.
So Habitat will be hiring someone else.
Yeah.
That's completely independent of our church, though.
Yeah.
Next item on my list here, prayers and concerns. I want to mention, continue to mention for Dennis Montgomery up in Fort Worth, who is undergoing a bunch of challenges, both physical and health and now security. One of the things that he's been dealing with is a very tough and rough contested divorce. And he apparently has members of the other side's family physically attacking him
Oh, geez.
with gunfire.
Oh my God.
Yes, the other day reported with gunfire. going down, a drive-by while driving.
Oh, my gosh.
And so.
Robert, who are you talking about?
And so this is, you remember Dennis came here to a meeting back in June, showed up one day. And we tried to help him out a little bit.
Russ was asking who we were talking about.
Oh, Dennis Montgomery. Anyway, some prayers for Dennis. And did you want to include was it your mother? Did you say we were speaking about earlier?
No, sister-in-law.
Sister-in-law.
Yes, I have a sister-in-law who's having some real financial difficulties because her two sisters misunderstood how much money she was receiving on a monthly basis. And 6 or 9 months ago, we hired a person who comes 6 hours a day, 7 days a week, which is absolutely essential for her in terms of staying independent. So it's important that we sort out her finances, and if we can't deal with the finances, or if I don't pay, which I can, to keep this lady, then it's time for memory care or assisted living. She clearly can't live without somebody there to coordinate. And now we've managed to have the person who comes at 6 hours a day to take her to the bank and find out what kind of money is coming in and going out. And we've learned a lot of things that need to be worked on. And Jim's wife happened to be listening, and she works with VA and has given me some sources for new support by way of VA, even though this lady married her husband who retired after 29 years in the Navy. She married him 10 years after he retired. So she's not getting the retired pay, but he did set her up for survivor benefit. And so she's getting some money from that. It'll all work out. Next week's Thanksgiving, we're going to be in Ohio with the other sister, and we'll sort things out from there. And I'm so grateful for the VA.gov attendant program. That sounds great.
One thing I want to mention, all these different institutions are going paperless, sending statements, no longer sending statements in the mail unless you proactively request them to reduce their expense.
Yeah,
They claim it's environmental, which
sure
yeah,
it is. Yeah.
but there's some of us who still like to get the old-fashioned piece of paper periodically. Something that comes in the form of a email or a prompt or a text or whatever gets lost. So
Yeah.
go ahead, Russ.
Earlier, we talked about some subjects and we just passed them through. Are we planning to do anything in support of either Radels or youth alternatives? And if we should decide today, I guess, of what we're going to do. If we're not, that's fine.
Well, didn't we say the church is already doing that right now, this month, in the next 2 weeks, is supporting Radels right now?
Right.
Okay, so we have an active church-wide support of Radels for the next 2 weeks.
And that's
The basis of that active church-wide is organizations like ours helping them fill the basket. That's what that's all about. Now, if we don't want to do it, that's fine. But let's just not pass these things through and just ignore them.
let's just remember, we just got through sending $200 to Radels.
that's good.
And as I indicated before, if you want to activate this group with 10 or 20 people, you need to fund some kind of project that involves 10 or 20 people, not just handing out money. You understand what I'm
I
saying?
understand that too, Sven. When are we gonna start doing it?
Let's start doing it. Time to get busy.
Well, I can do something. I've got 3 toys in the car. Doesn't matter where they go. They're all going to end up in radles.
I've got
or
4.
wax. So I'm going to bring 3 in
I've got 4.
and we can start a pile right here on the table. That might get people's interest on Sunday.
Mhm. Put them in the basket there and we'll
I'm
hang a
gonna-
sign for
I'm going
radles.
to do that now.
Yep.
Thank you, Russ. But they're really, yeah.
But there was a receptacle right.
Question,
Yeah, right here's the big box for
Oh, really?
radles.
Oh.
For the toys.
Okay.
right there. All right.
Okay.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah, there's already some toys.
Yep. Swen, this balance here, there's no says about balance 1,099, and that's after including a gift towards the men's breakfast. Is
No,
that
includes the $300 gift to the men's breakfast.
that we made or it came into us?
It came to us from.
Okay, incoming.
It's already here.
Yeah, all right.
It's already there as part of that balance.
Okay,
So it's a gifted figure that's dedicated for a specific thing.
okay, got it. Okay. Any other prayers and concerns? Okay, our next meeting scheduled for December 18. I will be scheduled to be in New York with family. I can still host if someone wants to bring a laptop. Does not have to be, a large setup like this. But if someone wants to bring a laptop, or if we want to have the meeting, at this point.
Yeah, whether or not we want to have it.
Because in January, one of 2 things will be happening. I'll either be still up in New York, or where I could host on Zoom. Or if I'm back in San Antonio, I would most likely be unavailable completely.
Okay.
I might be able to call in for a minute or 2 from the build site. But that's totally up in the air right now. One of those things we don't have any idea right now.
Do we have anything that's urgent for the next month? Or December? That we need to act on?
Any business?
Any business that's urgent for that December,
No, I'm not aware of any urgent business
other than what we're following through on.
right.
But
Well, shouldn't we be talking about nominating committees and some other things right now for next year also? And, when are we going to move forward and create a men's group that's got some body to it? And we do some things other than just sit around the table for an hour and talk about things and walk home and say, beautiful meeting.
I'm not willing to set up anything by way of by way of UMM myself. I think I have more than I need on my plate. So that's me speaking.
yeah,
And I will be gone next month. I'll be in Dallas on the day of UMM meeting.
Well, you're always welcome to chime in on your phone and say hi.
Yeah, and I can do
And
that.
people are out can always chime in for a
Yeah.
minute on their phone
Yeah, I'll have
and
the
say
email.
hello.
At this point,
Robert, there's one other thing, and I think I'm going to sign off, and I think I'm disturbing your meeting too much, and I apologize for that. But about 3 months ago, I told you that since we couldn't find a vice president, I'd be happy to sub for you. And you apparently don't need a vice president because I've never communicated anything about the subject of the men's group from your end. So, I guess maybe I just ought to sign off and not worry about this so much. And, but my heart has been in this men's group. And back when it was floundering the last time to where it almost went away, there was about 3 or 4 of us got together and brought it back to life. And unfortunately, we've drifted back to that position, and we've lost a lot of people that are still apparently somewhere in the church, but they're not showing up for men's meeting, and we never try to find out why or how or whatever. So I'm a little disturbed, I'm a little concerned, and I'm doing this in Christian love rather than out of hatred. I just feel like I'm really deeply put a lot of sweat equity in the earlier years to try to make this a good organization. And I had a lot of help. I'm not trying to be a pat on the back hero. I'm just trying to say it can be done, but it requires some movement in order to get it done. And this morning we had a nice meeting. We talked about a lot of nice things, and we're going home.
okay, can
So,
I make a recommendation to what you're suggesting? Is that
all right,
that all of us here today pick out 5 names and make contact with 5 additional people about the next meeting, whether that's December or January, once we decide, and make sure you make a contact at least twice over the next 30 to 45 days with that person. Inviting them to this particular function, explain to them what we do and why it's important that they come and take a look at what's involved here with the men's group. But we're going to have to call people, invite them. And I would suggest that everybody pick 5 people on their own and make contacts. The only way it's going to happen.
that sounds like a good idea, Swen.
Also, we need to enlist Pastor Dan
Absolutely.
specifically
Sure.
to as both as a member,
Right,
and as a proponent,
right.
from the pulpit, if you will,
Okay.
mentioning on a regular basis the men's group. I think that would help a lot. Okay, we can approach Pastor Dan. A couple of us can, yank on his chain and say, we need you to be doing this, please. Be joining us if he can, when he can. And I know we've had him as a guest, but we need to encourage him. But he may have I don't know if he has conflicting things, but
Well, I'll do that, and I'm going to add one person, Mike Poole. I'm going to call Mike Poole.
Good.
I ended up hearing that Mike Poole and Gus were standing out at the sign, electronic sign, a couple of weeks ago.
Okay.
I don't know if that means anything. As we know, Mike Poole's primary business is sign construction or coordination. He may not construct the sign, but he coordinates, and he's been doing this for as long as he's been a member.
Now he's moving into digital science.
And
too.
so I'm hoping he is wanting to step up to the plate related to the sign. I could donate, but I would probably be a reduction in my hours, so that wouldn't make a lot of sense.
I will add one other person too, while you're talking about. Barbara Moore approached me saying they would like to continue to make their annual scholarship gift of $500 to our group.
Okay,
So I think we need to remember every time we do a scholarship funding is that we make contact with the quilters group to see if they're available for their funding. So I think what would be good is for us to periodically invite Barbara Moore as an ad hoc member to our meetings,
mhm.
since they would like to join us on the scholarship program.
I don't want to speak out of turn, but a thing just flashed past the ether, you know, at the 50,000 foot elevation here. There is a project in the works, potentially. It is being researched and investigated on a technical basis to, I will say, one word I would say would be improve, the other would be adjust the lighting for the congregational areas in the sanctuary. It has a potential price tag at this point, probably in the $4,000, $5,000 range to do what's wanted, what's needed to get the effect that is needed. Target date for completion of this is Advent coming February. Research has been done. We have a great idea on what we need to do. And if the men's group wanted to help make this a reality, that could be a great way. I'm sure it would be, well, whether this happens, it's going to require funding and budgetary things. But this could be a project that the men's group assists with, because in addition to acquiring things, there's the physical thing of making it happen, which is not going to require, unlikely to require a lot of professional help from contractors, the way we plan to do it, or at least the way it's been discussed. So it has lots of self-help opportunities.
What are you talking about, Robert?
Well, again, I don't want to speak too much out of turn because it's not for particular discussion, but it's a project to improve the I'll call it the audience lighting, the house lighting. Right now, we've got the fluorescents up in the ceiling, and it's high, low, and off. This would give many other, options to that on a controllable basis, and but it's a possibility of a project that could be contributed to, that has need, and for both financial and physical assistance. So looking for a project that we can work on and possibly raise funds for. I think that might be a there it is moment. And it's imminent. It's imminent, needing completion by the opening of the Advent season, February.
Those fluorescents you're talking about are really LEDs. They were replaced some time ago.
No, what's up there now is fluorescent tubes, 4-foot fluorescent.
Now, those tubes were replaced when they did an LED relighting on the whole campus. And I believe they were replaced with some kind of an LED function tube that was interchangeable. I wasn't involved in the project. I did find a carton of those under a seat right after they had the big bomb scare. And here's the unidentified carton that I kicked against. And I had some serious moments for a minute there as to what that package was all about. But when I opened the end of it, it was a series of these tubes.
Yeah, Russ, what's up there is a standard fluorescent tube on 2 circuits, all the way across the sanctuary in 4 rows. And there's no LEDs in that area at that time. There are some LED style bulbs across the back.
Who is the president of the trustees? Who
I'm
would
sorry?
know the answer?
Hmm?
Trustees. This is where anything like that.
Yeah, well, I said,
emanates from.
this is just in the infancy.
Uh-huh.
Okay, and I don't want to speak out of turn, but this is a project that has substantial input from Pastor Dan and from Gus right now, and that they've asked me to assist with in doing testing and evaluation, which we have just completed
Right.
this last week. Evaluation of product of 2 different types of product that would be compatible and could be installed without a terrible amount of disruption.
Cool.
So this is it's a something that we could potentially help with in a very substantial way.
Yeah,
Okay, so I can.
But it's not for,
distribution.
it's not for discussion at this point. It's not a public thing.
Yeah, and just within our own circle here. I'm assuming this will be coordinated by the trustees, right?
Right.
I do not know.
Okay,
It would
I
have to be.
do, I do not. Gus approached me
right,
about the technical
okay,
thing, and Pastor Dan was involved in blessing the effect that they wanted to have.
Right.
Okay, and now requires acquiring the necessary things to get it done. And there was an initial budget range mentioned, and
So at some
that's where it is
Okay.
at this point.
So at some point, there will be a presentation either to the trustees or the administrative board, I'm sure. Now, the other thing-
I don't know the process.
Okay, but that has to be the process.
Okay.
Now, the other thing is, there is the endowment fund
Mhm,
that some group can make a request
mhm,
to spend interest monies only.
mhm.
That type of project, which is a non-budgeted project, could qualify.
Yes, it could.
And Charles Moore
Along
is
with
still the endowment chair.
Charles Moore is still the chair of that group.
Mhm.
But whoever, if that's approved, at least through the administrative board, then the proposal could go to the endowment fund after that point.
Mhm,
So that's another possibility, is
Mhm.
helping to raise funds, not raising all the funds, but
mhm,
as a help.
mhm. Well, it could be a contribution towards that financially and physically.
Sure, sure.
And we want, looking for a project we can work on. Well, this is going to require a couple days of, several days
Right.
of work
Okay,
to make it happen.
okay. So I think-
Are we talking about ladders to change the tubes out?
This would be adding, not removing the tubes, most likely, but adding to the capability.
Certainly ladders, yes.
But yes, but yeah, your first word of ladders is yes, work on ladders. There'll be a lot of work on ladders, on ladders and on the floor in preparation. But a lot of work on ladders, yes.
I'm not volunteering for that. I don't think Russ is either.
But what you can do is.
You
Like I
are.
said-
bet you'll-
I'll hold the ladder.
There'll be work on ladders and on the floor
Yeah.
because there's lots of little parts and pieces that have to be, assembled and handed up to somebody who's on the ladder and,
Yeah, we-
and progressing and such.
Right, so
We
there's gonna
need
be
a s-
opportunity for something. There's gonna be opportunity eventually for us to participate somehow.
Yes.
we certainly need an electrical genius to design this plan and not
Mhm.
just head up the ladders with LED lighting. It needs to be something thought through, and I'm sure you will if you're doing it or involved with it.
We've had the technical look at it.
Oh, you have?
We have this week.
Oh, great.
We had the we had a preview, if you will,
Okay.
of what we want to do, and it picked a product to make it happen.
I see.
Cool.
Okay.
So anyway, want to mention that as a potential thing that we can work towards. So but we'll have to, you know, I guess we can.
I can hold the ladder too.
Yeah, well, we just have to let them know that the men's group is interested in assisting with that moving forward, and
It'll give us a
and see.
reason when we call our 5 people, it'll give us a reason to, after it's been approved, to discuss your participation with the men's group.
Mhm. Anything else for the group?
Yes, I would recommend that we pass on December as far as the next meeting go and meet again in January.
Okay,
I would second that motion.
okay, so postpone, recommendations to postpone, or not postpone, I guess, just cancel December
Right.
and meet in January.
Right.
Okay,
That's good.
does everybody prefer that?
Yes.
Okay, that's fine.
December's a busy month anyway.
Meet next in January. If anything comes up, we can always, that's necessary, we can always send out an email or something.
Sure.
Okay, so next meeting then will be January 15th, unless we want to push that back a week. So we can decide at the point, like I said, the 15th, I will either be away and able to host if someone else brings in a laptop, or if I'm here
Whichever.
in town,
That's fine.
I would be mostly unavailable. So we would always
Or
have the
you're
option of
likely-
making that a week later if we
Sure.
wanted to.
Yeah, we could do that too. That'd be closer to our 3rd week if we made it a week later.
15th or whatever the week later,
Yeah,
22nd.
22nd.
27th? No,
Second.
22nd. Okay. All right, then. If nothing else is here for the group, it is 9:58, and we will stop the recording and adjourn the meeting.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
everybody for attending today.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Happy
Oh, have a great
Thanksgiving
Thanksgiving
And Merry Christmas.
and Merry
and a
Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Right.
Yes, sir.
And I will see you around the campus, maybe. Okay?
Okay. Sounds good.
And
Try to behave yourself.
do what?
Try to behave yourself.
Well, I'm not known for that.
You don't want to mess up your reputation.
I don't want to mess up my reputation because
Yeah. All right.
when I do that, it has a taint on everything. And I wouldn't want to mislead anybody about the,
But we love you anyway.